So a gentleman asked me to do a video about quarantining fish, medicating, that kind of stuff. So I guess I'll start with how I add fish, because usually that's when you'd want to quarantine the most. So when I add a fish, it doesn't matter if it's one or multiple, however many. Usually when I add fish, it's one at a time, because I separate my tanks by size. So if I have multiple fish to add, they're usually going to different tanks. When I add a fish, whether I get it in the mail or I go pick it up from somewhere, I bring it home, open the bag, I check the temperature of the water in the bag compared to the tank temperature. If it's plus or minus 3 degrees, I just put the fish in there. I don't dump it in net or anything like that. I just reach in the bag, pick it up, drop it in the tank. If it's higher, lower than 3 degrees from the tank's temperature, I'll acclimate them. But other than that, I never acclimate. A lot of people say there's an issue with that, but I don't agree. I think people think these fish are far more fragile than they really are. Like this fish, that little albino Taiwan reef, this little Eureka Red, I'm pretty sure it's a hybrid, and there's another one of them I got in here over the weekend. But yeah, brought them home, dropped them in the tank. That was it. So quarantining and medicating, honestly, unless I pick up a fish from somewhere and it's noticeably has problems, I never quarantine when I bring fish home. I usually get fish from pretty reliable sources. I usually get my fish from SG-Cichlids. I even get a lot of fish from Petco and PetSmart, and I usually never quarantine them. I bring them home, put them in the tank. And if your tank, the water's quality is good, fish will keep themselves healthy. If your water quality sucks, they'll get sick, they'll have problems, they'll be stressed. And whether people like it or not, your fish carry parasites. Even if you don't have any issues in your tank, they don't magically appear from nowhere. Your fish have parasites. There's nothing you can do about it. So in the event I have a fish get sick, I don't quarantine that fish. I medicate the whole tank. Reason being is that fish has those parasites reproducing inside of them long before you know it. And they're pooping the eggs from them parasites out into your tank. They're getting into your substrate. It's getting into your filters. I mean, odds are another fish is going to get it, whether you quarantine that fish or not. So I just go ahead and medicate the whole tank. Sometimes I put medication in the water. Sometimes I just feed them a medicated food. The medicated food I use is raw cichlid food, the medicated. It's pretty good stuff. I don't know if it does like real serious stuff. I haven't really tried it with the really sick fish. Normally if they're really sick, they wouldn't eat it anyways. But that's usually what I start with. So if I bring home fish and I'm not going to quarantine, I'll usually feed my tank that for about a week, or at least a few days, just as a precaution. If I do have a really sick fish and I can tell what it is, these are the meds I use. Melafix is just for like if you had a cloudy eye or something. Prazipro for flukes and stuff. Metroplex parasites, both are parasites. And this stuff is a lot stronger than both of them. And this stuff, as you can see, bacteria, fungal, and parasites, this is way more potent than this one. That's probably your safest bet right here. This one's more potent than that one. If you use the general cure, it's got both of these in it. Same medicines. But that one there, if you have no clue what it is, put that one in there. If a fish is already too far gone that it's not eating, you can try putting the garlic guard in there. When I put the garlic guard in there, I don't put a cap of garlic guard and then mix the food and the medicine. You're wasting the garlic guard. Put the food in a little cup. I use a little cup like this. I put how much food I'm going to feed. I put the scoop. It's usually about a half a scoop of Metro in there. and then 5-6 drops of garlic guard, and I stir it up until it's all saturated and mixed up good, and then I let it sit until it dries for a while. I don't use the focus or anything like that. I just let the food dry out so it all sticks to it and drop it in the tank. If a fish still won't eat after that, usually they won't survive. Sometimes you can save them, sometimes you can't. But what I have done a lot of times is I'll put the Metroplex, I'll mix it with some garlic, put like a drop of garlic, then like 10 drops of tank water in there. I'll take a little dropper like this. The edges of that dropper, when you buy these, are pretty rough, so I just take a lighter and smooth them out with the heat. I'll catch the fish, I'll lay it on a wet towel that's been wetted with tank water, and I will insert that. I'll suck up some of the garlic guard with the medication and tank water in it, and I'll squirt, I don't know, 5 or 6, 7 drops directly into the fish's gut. Don't go too far, be real careful, make sure the fish doesn't flop around, but it will save fish. I've saved many fish like that. Sometimes it doesn't work, but for me, 80% of the time at least, it saves fish that have no longer eat or anything. But like I said, be careful doing it, because I mean, they're more likely going to die anyways, but it's a sure way to kill them if you don't do it right. Medicating the tanks. When I medicate my tank, I always go to what it says on the bottle, but then I leave it in there longer than the bottle says. And the reason being is the medication will kill the parasites in the fish, but all the parasites that are eggs, it will not kill. And they have a I don't know what you call it, a cycle of how long it takes for the eggs to hatch. When the eggs hatch, it will kill them, but if they're in the eggs, it won't touch them. So I don't know if you've ever noticed, if you've ever had problems in your tanks, it seems like you got everything cleared up, and then a few weeks later it comes back. That's why. The eggs hatched, the fish get reinfected. So what I do is I leave the medication in there at least 5 days longer than it's suggested, and then I don't use carbon to get rid of the medication. I just do a big water change, 80-90%. And then a week after I've done that, I medicate all over again and leave it for the same amount of time, because when those eggs hatch, you got to kill them. You can't let them go till they can reproduce, or you will have problems again. So that's why I don't quarantine. Once it's in your tank, you might as well send it for everything, just to protect your investment. I mean, fish aren't cheap. I'm sure you guys all know that. I probably have, I don't even know how many thousands of dollars of fish. It's ridiculous. This is a terrible hobby, money-wise. But yeah, look at this little Victorian peacock hybrid. It's pretty cool. I have about 15 of his siblings growing up, so I can see if I can get them to reproduce. I've never seen a hybrid like that, ever. YouTube, stores, anywhere. Anyhow, it's the best thing you could do for your fish is water quality. It's the most important thing for color, for health. These fish will keep themselves healthy. They get a cloudy eye, they'll cure themselves, anything like that. They get a little scrape, they nick themselves on a rock or something, they'll heal themselves. They'll be just fine. They won't get infected if your water's clean. So if you're not vacuuming your gravel, if you let your filters go too long and they're all clogged up, an easy way to tell if your filter's gone too long and it's clogged up, your glass will start getting dirty faster. It'll be noticeably faster. But like this tank, I clean the glass maybe once every 2 months. And if it starts getting dirty faster than that, I know I need to pull the canister out and clean it. But yeah, that's it. That's how I quarantine and medicate fish.